Okay, welcome to video 2 of 9 in our history lesson of trying to get our arms around negative interest rates and how that's going to impact the economy and our investments. And today we're going to focus on the movie The Big Short. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. The book's even better. It gets in a lot more detail that I think is interesting. And the theme that we're going to focus on in this video is debt overhang. And I think this is the best way to really understand what we mean by debt overhang and why we have to pay attention to it. So in the movie, there's a scene where they are trying to explain what a CDO is, a collateralized debt obligation, and how it created this mess in 2007. So banks were taking these high-risk loans, subprime loans, packaging them together through diversification of loans. They could reduce their risk. They would sell that package, a CDO, to somebody else. And unfortunately, somebody was taking that CDO, combining with other CDOs, selling it to someone, and so forth. So this is how they explained that it worked. And I thought it was brilliant. You have this person who's at a blackjack table. And they have two cards that are really good. So they have a jack and a 10 showing. They think they're going to win, and they're willing to make a bet. In fact, they're so confident that they're willing to make a $10 million bet that they're going to win. Now, what this person doesn't realize is behind them on the table, there's a man and a woman, and the woman turns to this man and says, "Hey, you know what? I'll bet you $100 million that this woman wins this hand." And this guy says, "I'll take that bet." Behind them, there's some more people. And this person says, "You know what? I'll bet $200 million that this person wins." And then there's people behind, bet $500 million that this person wins, and so forth. Now, in our present day economy, there are a lot of unprecedented dynamics. One of which is we've never before had $19 trillion in our system, thanks to our Federal Reserve doing the quantitative easing. We've never had $19 trillion. Why are they doing this? They're trying to create inflation. Minimum, everybody wants 2. Federal Reserve's trying to get 3%. The problem is with printing all this money, and by the way, it's not working, is you're trying to get to 3, but you overshoot to 4, to 5, to 6, and so forth. How do you throttle back? That's the question. And inflation is measured by M3, how much cash is in the system, times the velocity, how much is it moving around. Well, it's not moving around, which is one of the things we're consistently talking about through these videos. But once it does start moving around, that's when you get into this hyperinflation possibility. So this is unprecedented. But if you think $19 trillion is difficult to comprehend, try this number. $400 trillion. What's $400 trillion? Well, when this bet was made, and then this bet was made on top of it, and this bet was made on top of it, all of these bets started growing and growing and growing. And every person or institution has what? They all have a balance sheet, right? Assets, liabilities. Well, you may think you have something worth this on your asset side, but when it comes time to market, this blows up. Well, this $100 million is derived, its value is derived from this 10 million. This 200 million is derived from this 100 million. This 500 million is derived from this 200 million. Why do I keep saying the word derived? Well, that derived, that's the root of what? It's the root word of derivative. You ever heard of that before? What's a derivative? It's an option. What's an option? An option is a financial instrument that derives its value from another financial instrument. Over here on the assets liability, you think you have something worth 100. Here, this is where you're at. You think you have something worth 100, but guess what? It blew up, it blew up, it blew up, it blew up. And you're saying, oh, it's not worth 100, it's worth 20. Oops. That's what happened in 2007. The big oops. Cut to video. Hank Paulson, Ben Bernanke go to a microphone after just leaving a meeting with President George Bush saying, we have to infuse hundreds of $1,000,000 or the banking system's going to fail. Why? Because everybody was forced to mark to market on their asset size, and it wasn't 100, it was 20. In 2007, this was the estimated amount of derivatives, 400 trillion in the system. That is unprecedented. Now, as bad as this 2007 meltdown was, guess what? It didn't eliminate all of this debt. It didn't. It would have been nice if it had purged it out, but it didn't. The Federal Reserve steps in with their experiment, quantitative easing, ZIRP, which is zero interest rates, all these things to try to help what? Create inflation, to try to grow out of this mess. And guess what? We can't do it. We can't grow. We can't create the inflation because the debt overhang is just too much. So what we're trying to understand through this video series is another unprecedented dynamic, which is the negative interest rates. So I'll end here. Next up is the formation of the Federal Reserve. To see the other videos, go to thebrinkmanacademy.com. Thanks for watching.